Across the galaxy, no one believed in human kindness anymore. The wars had ended decades ago. Planets still burned, trade routes were broken, and old wounds never healed. Humans had vanished from the galactic maps, their worlds destroyed, their fleets gone. Most aliens thought humanity had finally died out. Some said they destroyed themselves. Others said they went mad after losing Earth, but then a strange message began spreading through alien space. A human fleet just saved a dying planet and asked for nothing in return. At first, no one believed it. Humans helping aliens. Impossible. But as reports came in from different systems, the story became harder to ignore. Entire worlds claimed that human ships had appeared suddenly from deep space, bringing medicine, food, and machines that could clean poisoned air. They came, they helped, and then they left, without asking for land, gold, or power. No one could understand it. Across the stars, alien governments called emergency meetings. Admirals, generals, and diplomats gathered in massive halls filled with holograms and fear. One alien shouted, "It's a trap. They're preparing for war again." Another hissed, "No species gives help for free. Humanity must want something." Amid all this noise, one name was called, Captain Reth Valan of the Threxian Navy. He was a decorated officer, sharp, disciplined, loyal. He had fought against humans once, long ago during the last Great War. He remembered their fury and their strange courage. Now, he was ordered to investigate the rumor. Reth's ship, the Vernalis, jumped out of warp near a ruined planet called Orin 4. Once, it had been a proud colony of the Trask Empire. Now it was only ashes and broken cities. As his scanners swept the surface, he froze. There were human ships in orbit, small silver vessels marked with a blue symbol of Earth. No weapons active. No shields raised. They were simply landing, one after another. Reth ordered his crew, "Keep weapons ready, but do not fire. I want to see what they're doing." He descended to the surface in a dropship. When the ramp opened, he saw something that made his chest tighten. Humans, real humans, were walking among the ruins. They were helping alien refugees, small insectoid children, reptilian elders, creatures of 100 kinds. The humans gave them food packs, blankets, and medicine. Some were repairing homes with strange drones. Others were healing wounded aliens with soft glowing devices. And the humans were smiling. There were no guards, no soldiers, no demands. Only quiet voices saying things like, "You're safe now. Don't worry. We'll rebuild this place." Reth stood in silence. He didn't know what to feel. He had seen humans destroy cities before, but never rebuild them. He approached one of the human workers, a woman wearing a gray jumpsuit marked with the old Earth flag. "Who's in command here?" he asked. She pointed toward a tall woman standing near a half-repaired tower. "Commander Lyra Hale," she said. "She leads the restorers." The word itself sounded strange in Reth's ears. Lyra Hale looked at him calmly as he walked closer. Her eyes were tired but steady. "You're not the first to come here," she said softly. "You can watch if you want, but don't get in our way." Reth frowned. "What is your purpose here, human?" "To rebuild what we helped destroy," she replied. Then she turned away, continuing to direct her team. Her answer only made things worse for Reth. Why would a species that was once feared across the galaxy suddenly act like saviors? It didn't make sense. He watched them work for hours. Humans built energy collectors from scrap, purified water, and even repaired alien machines they didn't create. When the day ended, Reth saw something that struck him harder than any weapon. A small alien child, thin and shaking, walked up to a human medic and whispered, "Thank you." The human smiled and handed the child a ration pack. "You'd do the same for us," he said, but the child shook its head. No one helps others for nothing." The human only smiled again. "Then maybe it's time someone did." That night, Reth recorded his first report to command. "The humans are here, but they are not building armies or factories. They are rebuilding lives. I don't understand their goal yet. But whatever it is, it's spreading faster than any invasion." He stopped speaking, his hand hesitating above the recorder. Then he added one final line. "I came here looking for weapons. I think I found something more dangerous, mercy." As the stars shimmered above the ruined planet, Reth couldn't sleep. In his mind, one question echoed again and again. Was this kindness? Or was it the beginning of another kind of war? From orbit, it looked like a dead planet, Burned cities, blackened fields, smoke rising from cracked towers. But as he descended closer, the truth surprised him. Humans were everywhere. They moved with quiet purpose, organizing alien refugees into safe zones. Some were unloading supplies from their small ships. Others were treating wounded aliens with glowing machines that made injuries disappear like magic. Reth had seen medical devices before, but nothing like this. And the aliens. They didn't seem afraid. They weren't hiding, weren't fighting. They were calm, almost hopeful. Reth's dropship touched down near a shattered square. Dust rose in lazy clouds. He stepped out, scanning the scene carefully. His hand hovered over his sidearm. He had orders to investigate, not interfere, but every instinct told him to stay back and watch. A small group of humans approached him. One was tall, wearing a gray uniform with the Earth emblem on her chest. She moved with confidence, yet there was a warmth in her eyes. "You're new," she said, tilting her head. "I'm Commander Lyra Hale. You're here to spy, aren't you?" Reth's jaw tightened. "I am here to observe. The High Council wants a report." Lyra's lips curved slightly. "Then observe. But remember, everything you see you may not understand." He followed her silently as she walked past the refugees. They were unlike anything Reth had ever imagined. Alien children, small and fragile, laughed as humans handed them food packs. Elderly aliens with scales and horns nodded in respect as humans repaired their damaged shelters. Reptilian workers lifted beams with machines that seemed alive, placing them perfectly without a single command. And still, the humans did not ask for anything. No tribute, no payment, no loyalty. Reth frowned. Why would they do this? They reached a half-collapsed building. Inside, humans and aliens worked together to rebuild a central water system. Pipes were missing, valves damaged, but humans showed aliens how to fix it step by step. One young human boy, no older than 12, handed a tool to an alien girl. She looked confused. He smiled and whispered, "It's okay. You'll get it." The girl's eyes widened. She tried, then succeeded. She giggled. Reth swallowed hard. He remembered the stories he had been told about humans. Ruthless, savage, unpredictable. And now, he was watching them teach kindness. As night fell, fires from repaired shelters glowed across the ruined city. Humans moved among them like ghosts, quiet, efficient, calm. Some were sharing food with alien families. Others were repairing transport ships, ensuring that refugees could leave safely if danger came. Reth could not believe it. He walked to the edge of the settlement and watched Lyra Hale. She stood atop a small platform, giving instructions to her team. She noticed him but did not stop. Her attention was entirely on the work, on the people, on the planet. Reth whispered to himself, "They're not here for power. They're not here for war, but why? What is the purpose of this kindness?" The next morning, Reth decided to follow Lyra secretly. He kept a safe distance, staying hidden among the ruins. She led a group of humans toward the center of the planet. Reth noticed something strange. Her steps were calm but precise. Every movement, every word seemed planned. They reached a massive underground chamber hidden beneath a collapsed building. Reth's scanners could barely penetrate the walls, but he caught glimpses of hundreds of star systems on glowing maps. Each system was marked with a red symbol. His heart skipped. Each red mark, a dying world. Humans were not just helping Orin 4. They were tracking hundreds of other worlds, systems ruined by war, famine, and disease. They were moving toward them, bringing food, medicine, and hope. Reth's mind raced. So it's true. They're everywhere. They are restoring the galaxy. A human worker passed him, carrying a crate of supplies. He didn't notice Reth. Lyra Hale studied the map, her expression calm, almost serene. "We cannot let suffering go unchallenged," she whispered to herself. Reth stepped back, unsure if he should report this to his superiors. He knew they would see this as a threat, an invasion disguised as mercy, but something inside him stirred. He had seen humans destroy worlds before, but now he realized humans could change them too. Days passed and Reth continued observing. He saw humans negotiating between alien groups that had once been enemies. They stopped fights before they started. They shared scarce resources fairly. They listened when others complained. And the aliens, so many of them, started to trust humans. Reth could not stop thinking about what he saw. Is this a weapon, he wondered? But every time he tried to imagine humans using force, he saw only their smiles, their hands helping, their patience and care. For the first time in his life, Reth doubted everything he knew about war. That night, as he recorded his second report, he said quietly, "Humans are not here to conquer. They are not here to dominate. They are here to rebuild, and somehow that makes them stronger than any army I have ever seen." The stars above Orin 4 twinkled silently, as if they were watching too. Reth Valan, the great officer of the Threxian Navy, realized that
Reth Valen had been on Orin 4 for a week now, and every hour made him question everything he believed about humans. He had watched them feed starving aliens, rebuild burned cities, and even heal former enemies who once tried to kill them. Yet the more he saw, the more he realized there was something strange beneath all this kindness. At first it was small things. Humans moving with perfect coordination, even when no one gave orders. Drones flying over ruined areas, repairing structures almost instantly. Supplies arriving just in time, always enough for everyone. Reth had served under many commanders, but he had never seen organization like this. And then, the most unsettling thing of all, humans never seemed to tire. One morning, Reth decided to follow Commander Lyra Hale more closely. He kept to the shadows as she walked across the settlement, giving instructions with calm authority. Humans and aliens worked together, repairing a collapsed water tower. A small alien boy asked Lyra why humans helped them. She smiled softly. "Because no one else would," she said. Reth almost laughed to himself. No one else would. And yet they do it without expecting anything. Impossible. But then he noticed something that made him freeze. Underneath her jumpsuit, Lyra carried a small device strapped to her waist. It looked simple at first, but his scanners revealed it was far more advanced than any tech he had ever seen. It emitted a faint hum, invisible to the naked eye, and it seemed to synchronize with every human in the settlement. Could this be a weapon? He thought. Later that night, Reth sneaked into a hidden corridor beneath one of the human camps. He had followed Lyra there earlier, curious about where she went after sunset. The corridor opened into a massive underground chamber. His eyes widened. The walls glowed with hundreds of holographic maps. Each map showed a star system with tiny red dots flickering across planets. Reth scanned the data carefully. His mind raced. Each red dot is a world suffering, dying from war, famine, or disease. Each red dot, humans are tracking it. And then he saw ships moving on the maps, human ships, moving silently toward every dying world. They weren't armed fleets. They were carrying medicine, water, food, and tools. Every ship's path was planned with military precision. Reth's hands shook. So this kindness is not random. It is coordinated. It is deliberate. And it is spreading across the galaxy. He stepped back quietly, almost tripping over a crate. Then he noticed Lyra standing at the center of the chamber. She was calm, almost serene as she monitored the glowing maps. "We cannot ignore suffering," she said softly, more to herself than to anyone else. "Every world deserves a chance to live again." Reth realized something terrifying. This was not mercy without a plan. This was power disguised as kindness. The humans weren't just helping, they were changing the galaxy system by system, world by world. Reth's mind struggled to grasp it. They are not fighting, and yet they are stronger than any army I have ever commanded. The next day, Reth confronted a human engineer quietly. "Why do you do this?" he asked. "Why not build weapons? Why not take revenge for what your species lost?" The engineer smiled sadly. "Because we already learned that revenge ends only in more pain. We want to rebuild, not destroy. But we also know, rebuilding is harder than conquering." Reth frowned. "But all of this, it seems planned. Organized. You are not just helping Orin 4. You are moving across the galaxy." The engineer nodded. "Yes, there are too many dying worlds. We cannot leave them to rot. We do what we can where we can." Reth's heart pounded. These humans, they are a weapon. A weapon of hope. That night he returned to his ship. He could not stop thinking about the underground chamber, the maps, the ships. He had seen countless fleets march across the stars, bringing death and fear. But this was different. Humans did not need to conquer. Their kindness was more powerful than fleets of warships. Reth recorded a report, careful with his words. "Commander Lyra Hale and her fleet of humans are not building armies. They are building life. They are moving through the galaxy with a purpose no one can yet understand. I cannot say if this is weakness or strength, but it is unlike anything I have ever seen." He paused, staring at the stars above Orin 4. If mercy is a weapon, then these humans are the most dangerous force in the universe. The next morning, a distress signal reached the settlement. An outer colony hundreds of light years away had been attacked by rogue mercenaries. Their supplies were destroyed and survivors were stranded. Lyra looked at Reth calmly. "We go there," she said. "No one should be left to die if we can help." Reth hesitated. Following them meant leaving safety. Following them meant entering unknown danger. But something inside him, the part that remembered fear, that remembered war, knew he would go. Because humans did not just fight with weapons. They fought with hope, kindness, and determination. And Reth Valen had just realized that for the first time in his life, he wanted to fight alongside them. The stars above Orin 4 sparkled like distant fireflies, silent witnesses to a force that no one in the galaxy could yet understand. And as the human ships lifted off to aid another dying world, Reth whispered quietly, almost to himself, "They don't need armies, and yet they are unstoppable." Reth Valen had followed humanity long enough to see the impossible. Humans were not just helping one planet, they were moving across star systems, saving worlds no one else would touch. Alien refugees, orphan children, dying planets, humans repaired them all. But the galaxy did not like this. The Galactic Empire, powerful and proud, saw humans as a threat. Not a threat with weapons but a threat with influence. For decades the Empire had ruled through fear and power. Now, whispers spread from system to system, about humans who could inspire hope, who could unite enemies, who could make planets believe in peace instead of war. The High Council of the Empire decided to act. "If humanity is allowed to continue," one emperor hissed, "they will topple everything we built. Their kindness is dangerous." Orders were given. A blockade was established around Orin 4. Patrol ships surrounded the planet, their weapons ready, their engines glowing red. The Empire sent messages to the humans. "Cease all operations immediately. Leave this system or face annihilation." Lyra Hale received the message aboard her command ship, the Aurora. She read it quietly, her calm voice echoing through the ship. "Tell them we are not leaving. We do not fight unless others are in danger, but we cannot ignore suffering." Reth watched her carefully. Humans always seemed patient, almost gentle. But there was a quiet steel in their words, a resolve that made him nervous. The next morning the blockade began. Empire ships appeared in orbit, their cannons trained on human vessels. Reth could feel the tension in the air. He had seen fleets clash, explosions fill space and worlds burn. But he had never seen a fleet like this face an enemy, and not raise weapons in return. Lyra ordered her ships to raise shields only. The humans did not fire. They did not move aggressively. They simply stood their ground, keeping their fleet and the refugees safe. The first shots fired, not from the humans but from a reckless Empire patrol. A warning shot that struck a human supply ship. It did not explode. The ship's shields absorbed the impact, and then a wave of light and sound fixed the damage in seconds. Humans moved quickly, repairing the ship while Empire sensors recorded everything. Reth's jaw tightened. He could not understand it. "Why don't they fight back?" a young Empire officer whispered. "They should destroy us." But Lyra did not destroy. She only saved lives, both her people and the enemies. When Empire soldiers were injured during the blockade, humans treated them in the field, even as the patrol ships aimed their weapons. Reth shook his head. "This is impossible. No species would be this patient. No species would risk themselves for enemies." Days passed. The blockade continued. The Empire tried intimidation, sending threats, cutting off supply routes, and even spreading lies about humans being weak and vulnerable. Yet everywhere the humans went, the refugees rallied. Planets that once begged for protection from the Empire began to secretly help the humans. Small messages of support, hidden supplies, and safe landing spots appeared across the galaxy. Reth realized the truth: humans did not need to fight with weapons. Their actions alone were rewriting the galaxy. One evening he watched a human rescue operation in a ruined city near the equator. Empire soldiers had captured a group of alien civilians, intending to hold them as leverage. Humans arrived quietly, using clever strategies, traps, decoys, and careful timing, to free the captives without firing a shot. The Empire soldiers were confused, disoriented. They had trained for war, for combat, for dominance, but humans fought differently. With every act of mercy the humans gained power. With every refusal to kill they gained trust. Reth whispered to himself, "If this is weakness, then I have never seen strength like it." The turning point came when the Empire sent their flagship, a massive dreadnought, to enforce the blockade. Lyra stood on the deck of the Aurora, watching the enormous ship fill the sky. "We cannot let anyone suffer," she said simply. "Prepare to evacuate the refugees if needed. We will not start the war, but we will not flee either." The dreadnought opened fire. Beams of energy struck human ships, creating massive explosions in the atmosphere. Civilians screamed. Refugees scattered. But the humans did not panic. They moved systematically, shielding the civilians, repairing ships under fire, and ensuring that everyone escaped safely. Reth watched stunned. For hours, humans worked under relentless attack, saving both friends and enemies. When the battle ended, the Empire had not destroyed a single human ship. Not one life was lost among the civilians. Reth's report to his superiors was cautious but honest. "The humans do not fight like any species I know. They do not strike first, yet they protect more lives than any army could. Their fleet is small, yet their influence spreads faster than weapons ever could. This is something new. Something dangerous." Later, in private, Reth stood on a hill overlooking Orin 4's rebuilt city. Humans moved quietly through the streets, distributing food and repairing buildings. Lyra Hale walked among them, smiling, patient, calm. Reth finally understood the terrifying truth. Humans did not need to conquer. They did not need to fight. Their kindness was more powerful than any weapon. And as night fell over the planet, Reth whispered softly, almost to himself, "The Empire may strike with fire, but they cannot fight hope, and hope is unstoppable." The blockade had ended, but the galaxy was still buzzing with rumors. Reth Valen had followed the humans across several star systems now, and what he saw each day shook him more than the last. Humans didn't carry weapons. They didn't demand allegiance or tribute. They simply helped. Yet their influence was growing. Whole planets, once loyal to the Galactic Empire, were beginning to secretly support them. Refugees they rescued spread stories of mercy and hope. Diplomats and leaders whispered about the humans in fear and admiration. Reth had seen enough to know the truth, but he didn't yet understand their full plan. He decided to confront Commander Lyra Hale. He waited until night fell over the newly rebuilt city of Orin 4, where humans and aliens alike had gathered around glowing fires. Children laughed as adults repaired buildings, and supply drones moved silently through the streets. Reth approached Lyra quietly, careful not to be noticed. "Commander," he said, "I need to understand. Why are you doing this? You could rebuild your own empire. You could take revenge for the wars you lost. But instead, you save your enemies." Lyra looked at him calmly. Her eyes were tired, but there was a quiet fire in them. "We already had revenge once," she said softly. "It almost ended us. We learned that destruction only brings more destruction. We rebuild, because no one else will." Reth frowned. "But why? Why not use your fleet to dominate the galaxy? Your technology is advanced. Your coordination, it's almost military." Lyra smiled sadly. "Because power without responsibility is useless. We want to prove something. That life matters. That kindness can change the universe." Reth shook his head. "Impossible." Yet deep down he knew she was telling the truth. Lyra led him to a hidden chamber beneath the city. The walls glowed with holographic star maps. Hundreds of worlds flickered in red, yellow, and green. "Each of these systems is suffering," she said, her hand hovering over the maps. "Many of them were destroyed by war. Some by famine, others by disease. Earth has been tracking them all for decades. And we are going to help them, one world at a time." Reth stared in disbelief. "Earth has survived?" Lyra nodded. "We were never destroyed. Earth hid, rebuilt, and prepared. We waited for the right time to return, not with war but with hope." Reth felt a chill. He had thought humans were gone. Forgotten. Dead. And yet here they were, returning not with fleets of death but fleets of mercy. "You are changing the galaxy without firing a single shot," Reth whispered. Lyra's gaze met his. "We don't need to fire shots. The galaxy already fights itself every day. We only need to show that another way is possible. One act of kindness can spark hope, and hope spreads faster than fear." Reth realized the terrifying power of her words. Humans didn't just save lives, they were reshaping the political balance of the galaxy. Planets once loyal to the Empire were beginning to reconsider their allegiances. Civilian populations were inspired to rise against oppression. Entire star systems were quietly being united under the idea that humans represented something greater than war. Later, as they walked through the rebuilt city, Reth saw the humans interact with aliens of every kind, reptilian, insectoid, and mammalian alike. Each alien they helped smiled, nodded, or hugged them. Reth noticed even former Empire soldiers quietly watching from the shadows, seemed hesitant to interfere. "Do you fear they will turn against you?" Lyra asked softly, glancing at him. Reth shook his head. "No. I fear, the galaxy is not ready for this. No one expects kindness to be a weapon. But it is. And if the Empire realizes what you are doing—" Lyra interrupted gently. "They will. But by then it may be too late. We are patient. We are careful. We do not destroy. We only restore. And that is something stronger than fear, stronger than any fleet." Reth could see it. Planets rebuilding, refugees laughing, and hope returning to systems that had been silent for decades. He had expected war. He had expected chaos. But instead he had found a force that no one could control or predict. "Earth's mission," Lyra said quietly, "is simple. Save lives. Restore hope. Remind the galaxy that survival does not depend on fear or domination, but on unity and kindness." Reth closed his eyes for a moment. The words struck him deeper than any battle ever could. Could a species really wield kindness like a weapon? Could hope be stronger than fear? The answer was unfolding before him. That night, Reth recorded his report again. "Commander Lyra Hale and the human fleet are not here to conquer. They are not here to destroy. They are here to rebuild. Their fleet moves across the galaxy, healing wounds others left to fester. Their influence grows with every life they save. I have seen what no officer has ever seen, humans wielding kindness as a weapon. And it is more powerful than any army, more dangerous than any fleet, and more unstoppable than any war I have known." Reth paused, looking out at the city from the hill above. Fires glowed warmly. Children laughed. Aliens and humans worked together in harmony. The universe feared their anger, but it will never forget their kindness. And deep in his mind he knew one truth: the galaxy would never be the same again. Because humanity's mission was not revenge. It was restoration. And restoration was far more powerful than war. The galaxy had never been quieter, or stranger. Planets that once trembled under the iron rule of the Galactic Empire were now rebuilding under the guidance of humans. Systems that had been at war for centuries now traded food, medicine, and supplies. Refugees once scattered across space had a home. Hope, something long forgotten, was returning. And it had all started with kindness. Reth Valen watched the scene unfold from the bridge of his ship. Humans moved among the ruins of Orin 4 like shadows of mercy, touching every life, every heart, every soul. Children laughed as humans repaired schools. Alien elders smiled as humans purified their water. Former enemy soldiers quietly observed, learning what it meant to be protected rather than feared. Reth could not believe what he was seeing. He had spent decades in the Navy, leading fleets to victory, witnessing the destruction of planets and the suffering of billions. And now, a species once thought weak and extinct was showing a strength that no weapon could match. Lyra Hale stood atop a rebuilt tower, overlooking the city she had helped restore. Her expression was calm, but her eyes held a fire that reminded Reth of the humans he had fought years ago. He approached her cautiously. "Commander," he said, "you are not just saving worlds. You are changing the galaxy." Lyra smiled softly. "We are not changing it to control it. We are changing it so it can survive. So life can thrive again." "But the Empire," Reth began, hesitant. "They will try to stop you. They cannot allow this to continue." Lyra shook her head. "The Empire cannot stop something they do not understand. They see our fleet and think it is small, harmless. They see our actions and think they are weak. But kindness is not weak. It is stronger than fear, stronger than weapons, stronger than empires." Reth swallowed. He finally understood the terrifying power of humanity. The days that followed were a test. Humans moved from system to system, aiding dying planets. Their ships delivered medicine, water, and food to worlds left for dead. Refugees were escorted to safety. Entire civilizations that had lost hope began to thrive. The Galactic Empire attempted to intervene again. Patrols appeared, warships loomed, and broadcasts threatened humanity with annihilation. Yet humans did not attack. They did not retaliate. They simply protected. They shielded the innocent, repaired the damage, and continued their mission. Every act of mercy became an act of defiance. Reth watched it all, astonished. Soldiers whispered among themselves, questioning orders. Governors began to doubt the Empire's strength. Citizens began to hope again. If mercy can do this, Reth thought, then weapons are nothing compared to it. One night, Reth stood on a hill above a rebuilt city on Orin 4. Fires glowed warmly, children laughed, and humans moved silently among aliens, distributing supplies and teaching. He looked at Lyra Hale as she spoke softly to a group of alien children. You can build, you can heal, you can protect. But always remember, kindness is stronger than anger. Choose it. Reth's heart tightened. These words were simple, yet they carried a power that no warship could ever have. For the first time in his life, he understood the full meaning of humanity's mission. Humans had returned not to fight, not to conquer, not to seek revenge. They had returned to restore life, and in doing so they had shaken the galaxy. Reth turned to his communicator and recorded his final report. Commander Lyra Hale and her fleet are not here to dominate. They are here to protect, to restore, to give hope to every system in need. The galaxy once feared their weapons. Now it should fear their mercy. For kindness is a force no empire can contain. It spreads, it inspires, it changes hearts. And the universe will never be the same again. In the following weeks, the galaxy began to shift. Worlds once loyal to the empire secretly aided humans. Civilizations united under a new cause: life, survival, and hope. The empire's grip weakened, not because humans destroyed them but because humans proved a better way to lead. Reth Valen stood quietly, watching a convoy of human ships leave Orin 4, bound for another dying planet. Refugees waved, children cheered, and Lyra Hale stood on the deck of her flagship, smiling. "Where are you going next?" Reth asked. "Wherever we are needed," she replied simply. "No world is too far. No life too small. We will go wherever hope is needed." Reth nodded. The stars above glimmered as if alive, watching the humans travel through the galaxy, carrying food, medicine, and most importantly, hope. In the years that followed, historians would write. It was not humanity's weapons that changed the universe. It was their decision to be kind, when they didn't have to be. Empires fell. Wars ended. Entire civilizations healed, not from fear but from hope. And for the first time, the galaxy understood what humans had always known. True power comes not from destruction, but from mercy. Reth Valen remained on Orin 4 for a time, serving as a witness to this new era. He had once been a soldier trained to conquer. Now he understood the greatest lesson of all. The universe feared human anger, but it would never forget their kindness. And somewhere deep in the vast darkness of space, a lone human ship sailed toward a dying star system. Its lights glimmered like a promise. A promise that life, hope, and kindness could survive anything, even the darkest reaches of the galaxy. The stars watched silently as humanity continued its journey, and the galaxy would never be the same again.